Hey guys, welcome back to Chapter 8, Lesson 5, Part 3. So, what we're going to do here is, again, we're dealing with negatives. But this time, instead of putting a negative in the middle, we're going to put a negative at the end. So let's deal with the problem x squared plus 7x minus 30. So, we need to figure out what numbers multiply together to get a negative 30. Now, you might be thinking, well, we could do 1 times negative 30, or would it be negative 1 times positive 30? Well, let's just list the factors for 30, then we'll get into what's going to be negative and what's not. Okay? So our factors for 30 are going to be 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, no 4, but we are going to get a 5 and 6. So, now, we need to multiply to get a negative, but when we add the numbers together, we're looking for a positive 7 here. So, in order to multiply two numbers together to get a negative, one has to be positive and one has to be negative. But when we add them together, in order to get a positive, that means that the bigger number has to be positive. So, the bigger number will be positive, and the smaller number will be negative. Going back to part 1, remember I said this left side was in ascending order? If you look, this left side is always going to be a smaller number than your right side. That's why we do this, because it's going to help us in the long run. It's going to help us because if we do this for all the different kinds of problems, it's going to help us when it needs to, and otherwise, it's not going to hurt. So let's add these together. Negative 1 plus 30 is the same thing as saying 30 minus 1, 29. 13, 7, 1. Again, we're looking for 7. Since we have a negative and a positive when we write our answers, those will stay a negative 3 and a positive 10. So let's go and try another one of these. Let's go ahead and do the problem x squared plus 4x minus 21. So we're going to again factor negative 21, giving us 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. Not too many of them. Our bigger number is positive, our smaller number is negative. So we're going to get 20 or 4. Notice 20 or 4. Only one we're looking for is 4. So our answer is going to be x minus 3 and x plus 7. Simple enough. Let's go and give you guys one to do on your own. So let's go ahead and do the problem x squared plus 8x minus 20. So go ahead and take a second, work this out, pause the video, and we'll come back and do it together. Okay, so let's go ahead and factor negative 20. Negative 20 becomes 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. The bigger number being positive and the smaller one being negative. This means we're going to go ahead and get 19, 8, and 1. We're only looking for the 8, so our answer is going to be x minus 2 and x plus 10. So that's it for part 3. Just remember, when you have a positive middle number and a negative last number, your smaller factor is negative and your bigger factor is positive. Go ahead and keep practicing with these guys, and we'll be back into part 4.